Welcome to episode 11 of the Bulldog Bark. I am yours truly, the Guru. With me today, I got BFC and Kyle, the Butler fan. Michael D. Rosa is not available today. He is watching football. Yeah, I thought football season was over, boys. Thought it was time for some college basketball, but I guess not for Michael. So the Dogs are coming off of another thrilling game. There's been no shortage of that. Fortunately, a loss. It was a tie game with a minute left before Seton Hall scored a couple baskets towards the end, beat Butler in Hinkle 78-72. Next up is our good friends from Cincinnati, the Xavier Musketeers. Tomorrow night, 6:30 at Cintas, and the Bulldogs are coming in 2-4 in the Big East. Xavier is 2-3. This will be a Q1 game, quad one game for Butler. Big game before they actually have a nice little streak of a few games where it's DePaul, Georgetown, and then home versus Nova. So, boys, big couple weeks here for us if we really want to. I think this is gonna be kind of make or break it time. Let's maybe recap the Seton Hall game real fast, and we'll dive into what we got going forward. So, Kyle, I'll punt to you first. What's your thoughts after the Seton Hall game?
Yeah, I mean, my main takeaway is just that I think that we had a few players that just had games that aren't, what they needed to have. I think that ultimately Butler doesn't play that many players. So you really you're counting on everybody to at least contribute. And we know that DJ Davis and Andre Screen are just two guys that have had fantastic seasons for Butler and have just exceeded every expectation. The truth is that they did not play well at all against Seton Hall, which really hurt us. Not like we're the only team with this issue. This isn't unique to Butler, but it's really damn hard to guard Kadari Richmond. Dude is a great player. Love seeing UConn fans getting pressed as hell about the most obvious Big East player of the week ever. Like, it's so obviously Kadari Richmond, and they're like, no, you're biased against UConn. Whatever, that's a whole different thing. But I think that it was a very winnable game, and it's just to be honest with you, I've been super optimistic, and I still am about this team. I mean, I think the floor, which is just crazy to say from where we are last year, I think the floor is still an NIT team, which is awesome. If you were to tell me this time last year that next year you'll be in the NIT, I think all of us would have taken it. And I'm not saying that we will be. We could absolutely make the tournament, but I just think having that floor is really good. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's getting frustrating not winning these winnable games. I mean, there was a tweet that I saw that was basically just showing the amount we were leading these certain teams with the amount of time left. And as FAU, UConn, the main four, or no, I believe there's five. There's the FAU game we should have gotten. The UConn game we and probably should have gotten. The Seton Hall game we could have and should have gotten. What am I missing? The Providence game we could have and should have gotten. Is that it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that was four.
Those four.
And just
those four are just and we have 6 losses, and all 4 of those, I think you could probably say we should have won. And it's unbelievable, the conversation. I mean, the truth is if we won all 4 of those games, we wouldn't just be ranked right now. We'd probably be top 15, maybe top 10. Just based on where other teams are. Would probably be a low-end top 10 team if we'd won all those games. And all of them were right there for us. It's not unrealistic to have said we could have and should have won any of those games. So yeah, it's getting frustrating.
Just to add some context to what you're saying there, because I've looked up all these things. So FAU was a 1-point game with about 4 minutes left. We lost by 5. UConn was a 1-point game with about 3 minutes left, lost by 6. Seton Hall was tied with a minute left, obviously lost by 6 there. And then we all know the Providence game up by 3 with 9 seconds left and didn't foul. So that is the definition of almost winning. And even if you pop off 2 of those, I think you're sitting in a much better seat today than you are. BFC, what about you? Thoughts after the Seton Hall game?
Yeah, I think the main piece of frustration for me is that we just can't seem to get everyone playing well at the same time. So when you have that, you have these games where you're going to be in every game if 2 or 3 of your studs are playing well, but you need everybody on the same page if you're not a deep team to win against really good teams. So we saw that against UConn. Posh had a horrible game. he played great in this game. He had, I think, 17 points, really limited his turnovers, played great defense, couple steals. Jalen Thomas played, out of his mind again, really, without much backlash that he had gotten. He honestly kind of dominated his matchup. But then we get, Jamil still hasn't really fully turned it back on yet. He played better, but still 4 out of 10 shooting the ball is just not good enough. Pierre struggled. He hit 4 big threes, 4 of 8 from 3, but 0 for 4 from 2, and didn't shoot a free throw, which we just can't have if we want this offense to really kind of hum like it should. He needs to be getting to the line. He needs to be playing kind of bully ball like we saw from Richmond. I mean, he played great, but it is a lot easier to score when you're allowed to throw Derrick Henry stiff arms. But Pierre just has to he's got to get into a mindset where he knows he's the guy, but doesn't kind of overreach on it. He needs to kind of demand the ball a little bit more. And even if he's not scoring, they're going to bring double teams if he gets going, and then he can find open guys. And then, DJ was just, completely off, and you could kind of see that the whole time. But yeah, when you're not as deep a team as you need to be in the Big East, you need your guys to be playing well at the same time. And ours just haven't these last kind of 4 games. And, outside of the St. John's game, which was kind of an outlier, we've had a chance to win against 3, I'm going to say 3 ranked teams, because Seton Hall should be ranked. But the thing that held us back was just a couple guys just having off nights and not really having any pieces to counteract that. And we saw that against Marquette. DJ was off, but we had Landon Moore step up. And, if we can get that kind of bench contribution, it can balance it out a little bit. But we didn't get that in this game. So that was kind of the big piece that I saw, which was a reason we lost.
Yeah, and I'll also add, I mean, the same things that I think the frustrating things, the same things keep kind of popping up, right? 3-point defense, which supposedly our 3-point defense has been okay, but we all know we watch the games. There's a luck factor to it, of course. I will say they were at 8 for I can't remember, 8 for something to start the first half, and then they actually didn't make a 3 in the second half. So whatever was said at halftime worked, but then they started going to the lane and playing bully ball, which is kind of where we lost that battle at. But and then the rebounding actually wasn't as bad. That's still obviously an issue. It wasn't as bad as I fully expected it. Let's see here, because they ended up having 9 offensive rebounds, still not great at all. They did out rebound us 31-22, but I don't feel like it was as obvious as like the UConn game was. This is a wild stat from that game. They had 13 blocks. That's an insane number when you really think about it. 13 blocks. Yeah. A lot of those were on like our big guys too. So I think that just shows that, being a little tougher around the rim against these physical teams. We saw that in the St. John's game. That's 2 teams that are a little bit physical with us. And I think we still need to maybe develop a little bit more of that physical mindset. Pierre taking it to the hole and stuff like that. But yeah, no, just overall, it's definitely getting frustrating. I feel like a lot of us have posted about how this is the almost team. We're so close. I think that this team is way better than its record reflects, because what sucks is that casuals will look at us and be like, "Oh, you guys are 2-4 in the Big East, and 11," and then they won't realize that each of those games came down to the wire. If I could, Butler, if you're listening out there, can you guys stop fouling with like 2 seconds left? I really appreciate it. It makes the scores look worse, and I don't understand it. They do it like every game, and it's getting really frustrating. I'm serious. Like, it's really frustrating. I know it sounds stupid, but like any metric counts. Like that Seton Hall foul with like 2 seconds left. I'm like, why even do that? And they did it against UConn too. But anyway, yeah. So I think we can all agree, kind of frustrating. But hey, there's no shortage of good games in the Big East, boys. So got another one coming up. Q1 opportunity, like I said, we're going to Xavier. Got to put that last game behind us. Big one tomorrow, 6:30 at Cintas. Like I said, if we're going to look at a stretch here, guys, and say this is where the team needs to basically, this could kind of make or break it, it's got to be this next stretch. At Xavier, home against DePaul, at Georgetown, home against Villanova. I think you need to go 3-1 in that streak, with one of the losses being either Xavier or Villanova. That puts you at 5-5 through the first half of the Big East, because I tweeted out today the next 6 out of the next 7 games are Q1 games after that. We have a huge stretch after that. That's very tough. So I think you need to be at least 5-5. Kyle, what are you looking forward to in tomorrow's matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to a game that both teams really, a Butler Xavier game that is like hugely huge for both teams. You know, the past 3 years or so since I've been a student, Butler Xavier games have been a big deal because it's Butler Xavier and they're our biggest rival. But we haven't been playing for a tournament bid. We haven't been, the stakes haven't been high. It's still been great to win a few of them. It's still been great to compete and watch the rivalry play out. But this year, you know, Butler, obviously we know our tournament aspirations. They're still there. They're not going to go away even if we lose this game, but it's going to be really hard. And Xavier, the tournament's a real long shot for them, but it's not impossible. And on top of that, they've got a really, you know, young group of kids who are going to be they're really young team, Xavier, and they're going to be hungry. And both of these teams are just, this is a massive game for both of these teams, to be honest. It's a huge game for Xavier too. And I'm just excited to see it play out, see the rivalry play out. It's always just fun to me. Butler Xavier is always fun. As far as the game itself, I think that offensive rebounding, we talked about how it was better against Seton Hall, and it's true. It was better, or limiting offensive rebounding. Xavier has a really good offensive rebounder in Abu Usman. It's probably the thing he does best. So I am very, you know, concerned about our ability to box Usman out. He's a very good player. At least he's a very good rebounder. I think he'll be pivotal. Trey Green for Xavier, their freshman, is coming off a ridiculous game at Providence, where he just kind of had a breakout, maybe the best game that any freshman's had in the Big East this year. Just a fantastic game from Trey Green. You know, I think he's a good player, but just not letting him have open threes. I mean, he's an absolute sniper. And then doing a better job on Desmond Claude than we did Kadari Richmond. They're very similar styles of play offensively. Anytime that Desmond Claude takes a 3-point shot, you thank him. It's just kind of the way he plays. And that's not to say that Desmond Claude's a bad player. I don't think he's on the level of driving to the hoop that Kadari Richmond is, but that's still what he does, and he does it well. So just please let Claude shoot. I found this with Kadari Richmond. I understand Kadari made a 3 in that game, but every single time that we were super pressed up on him, I just didn't get it. And I think that with Kadari and now with Claude, I mean, just if he's gonna make a 3, then applaud him for it, because percentage wise, we're fine with him taking it. He's their main source of offense. Well, actually, Olivari, I guess, points per game wise is their main point of offense. But they've got a bunch of good guards, but I'm really confident in our guards to guard them. Ultimately, it's about stopping second chances. I think in this game more than any, it's important because we know Cintas is going to be rocking even on Tuesday, and it's a rivalry game. And what really gets a building going is when you know, Usman fights for a really tough offensive rebound and kicks it back out to Olivari for 3. That's when Cintas is going to erupt. That's the type of plays that makes a fan base go crazy. And I think we just got to limit that as much as possible.
Just to add some context to that, yeah. So Claude is shooting 27.8% from 3 points. So there's one guy that we're going to leave open, which it seems like we leave a decent number of guys open. Hopefully it's him. BFC, what about you, man?
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a tale of 2 matchups. And I have to assume kind of how we're gonna match up. I know Thad, I mean, we switch 1 through 4, but my assumption is that Telfort will get the Desmond Claude matchup, and then Posh will obviously be on Olivari. That would be my assumption. And those are the 2 guys you need to shut down, because that's really the large majority of their offense is coming from those 2 players. If you shut them down, I think we match up really well. The rest of the way. I know Green had a huge game against Providence. You know, if he's playing like that, they're a completely different team. But he hadn't been playing like that the majority of the year. So I think we kind of have to take that game with a little bit of a grain of salt. But yeah, I think those are the 2 matchups that we really have to kind of live and die by. And then on offense, I don't really think that they have a guy that's going to be able to shut down Pierre. I don't really know how they're going to match up with him. because if they bring, I mean, Namixa maybe would get the matchup, but I mean, if they give him Pierre, that's just good for us.
Yeah, I think having Pierre and Jamil is just. I think Claude is. They're going to put Claude on one of the two, and then the other one shouldn't ever have a bad matchup. They should either
No.
have Djokovic or Nemitska on them, which in that case they're quicker, or they should have like McKnight or Olivari on them. In that case, they're bigger. So I think
Yeah.
whoever Claude isn't on out of the two of them should really be feasting.
Yeah, somebody's going to be on barbecue chicken alert regardless throughout the game. So we need them to get going early, especially Telfort. When he misses a couple shots early and he's always kind of short on it, I think he just kind of gets in his head a little bit. At least that's what it looks like from the casual fan. But yeah, we need to get the wings going, because I think that's where our, big kind of source of offense is going to come from. And then, yeah, the mismatch down low is not, it's not as big as what we've seen. I think it's pretty similar to Bediako on Seton Hall, and Jalen completely held his own, really outplayed him the majority of the game. So I think, our worries against some of these other teams, like when we're going to a St. John's or the second game against UConn, when we got to deal with Klingon, I don't necessarily think that's going to be the biggest headache in this game. It's just going to be, limiting their kind of volume scorers from getting going and getting our volume scorers going.
Yeah. The only thing you guys hit on all great points. Another thing that I guess scares me a little bit is, and it kind of reminds me of like the FAU game where they had like 4 guys that all were crashing the boards. Didn't matter what position it was, they were all crashing it. So just some like stats, like Olivari averages about 4.8 rebounds per game. Claude 4.9, McKnight 4.3. I can never say his name right, and I'm going to butcher it as I always do. Usmani. How do I even say it?
Abu Usman.
Usman. There we go. I say it wrong all the time. I put my own, it's like I put my own words in my head. 6.6. So like they all average basically like around 5, which I think in that FAU game was similar, where they all kind of did the same thing, except obviously they had the tree down low, Golden. But like just please box out. Like please, just please, like please. I don't know how else to say that. Just please box out. And I think one thing that's hurt Butler too, and I'll be interested to see how we adjust, although feel like we keep saying it, is teams do seem to shoot a lot of threes against Butler, whether or not that's by design or because we're just leaving people open. And shooting a team that's already struggling to rebound and then also giving up a lot of 3-pointers is a recipe for even worse rebounding, because now you have balls flying off everywhere. So really just, again, if it's Claude, maybe, yeah, you sink off, but like, I don't know, try and just keep trying to defend the 3. That's, I think, 3-point defense, and then rebounding's got to be the 2 emphasis there. So Xavier's got a great team. They're a good team too. Like, I know that a lot of people be like, don't look at their KenPom, like it's overrated, whatever, but they have some pretty good metrics, even with their losses, in the 40s in KenPom, and I think they're in the 40s in net too. So this would be a huge win for the boys, for the Dogs. I don't know, you guys got anything else you want to add to that? I just really want to win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd add a splash of optimism here, and this is assuming we can come and win this game. If we win this game, if we're able to win this game, it will not be easy. But if we win this game, we're then 3-4 in the Big East and have DePaul and Georgetown next. And I understand that at Georgetown, first of all, people are going to underrate at Georgetown is not nothing. We should win it. It's not nothing. Georgetown doesn't look horrible. They took Seton Hall to the brink. But if we're able to win the Xavier game, we are probably looking at Nova at Hinkle on a Saturday at 5-4 in the Big East. And we know that the number 1 team that struggles at Hinkle in the Big East is Nova. The Nova sucks at Hinkle for some reason. I don't get why, but I've been here 3 years and they've lost 2 out of the 3. And I know they've lost Villanova, like one of the blue blood programs, lost 4 of their last 5 at Hinkle. It's just, they suck at Hinkle. And I'm not saying we're going to win that game, but we are going into a Saturday Nova game, which historically has been great for us at 5-4, probably, if we're able to win this Xavier game. So I can't overstate the importance of this. It's a huge game. If you win this game, I'm all of a sudden being like, okay, like all the optimism is back. We know winning at Cintas is difficult, but there's no excuse. You got to go out and do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, and I agree with you. I mean, you got to get some momentum, get to 5-5 at least before this Big East second half of the Big East play. No, I think it'll be. I think we have the firepower to do it. It's just like you said, DePaul, and then don't sleep on Georgetown, but DePaul and Georgetown should absolutely be wins, and then Villanova. So, all right, prediction time. All right, BFC, I'll start with you. Prediction for tomorrow's game, Butler at Xavier. What do you got?
I think we take care of business. I think our offense is going to kind of be able to get what we want. And unlike St. John's, I don't like Xavier, and they don't really like me, so I don't really have anybody to piss off. What do I have to lose? So I'm going to go 77-68 Butler, and I think DJ gets back on track, which is going to be huge. But yeah, I just think we'd match up pretty well. And, you know, the guys know how important this is, especially coming off that Seton Hall loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo the fact that this game could go any way. I feel like it's at Cintas. It's really tough. If you told me we lose this game, I'm not surprised at all. It's the truth. I think we can, and I hope we can, and I believe we're going to win. It's going to be a tough game. That said, and I'm not joking here, this is my actual prediction, 80-62, we blow them out.
Oh, I love that. Clip that, and I will come after anybody who goes after you.
I might have to clip that. I don't even want to give my prediction.
Post that on just that clip on Twitter and see if I get assaulted outside of Cintas.
I'm gonna post that clip as the intro to. I'm gonna tweet it and I'm gonna say check out our pod, and then I'm gonna post that clip only and see how many Xavier fans we get to come flooding to our page.
No, they don't care about us. They don't
care about us, but they
totally
don't care about us, but they tweet about us all the time, and then we started. I don't know, whatever. So I think what's gonna happen is we'll probably be down 2, maybe down 1. We're gonna final possession. We'll get it. Do we have any lefties on our team?
No.
I don't think we have any lefties, do we? We don't have a single lefty. Well, that ruins this whole.
Is Casio lefty?
No, he's not.
No, he's righty. Man, we don't have a single lefty.
That's amazing.
Fine, I got it. Fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So what's going to happen is we're going to inbound it to Posh. Posh is going to just dribble it down. Basically, what's going to happen is Jalen's going to do a walking screen. Just walk them down. Posh is going to go up with his right, realize he's getting blocked, then shoot with his left mid-shot, drain the 3 with 0.1 left. And I think we walk out of there winners. Why can't I remember the score of that game? 71-68? Is that it? No. No. We were down. So it's
71-69, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's what I said. Yeah, 71-69, a Butler dub. In reality, man, like I'm a homer. I'm gonna say we win this game. Won't be surprised at all if we don't. I think it's gonna come down to the wire. I like Kyle. I wish we ended on Kyle's prediction, but I'll go. Yeah, you know what? I'll stick with it. 71-69, Butler. Why not? Let's go with what we go. All right. All right, boys. All right. Again, 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. Butler at Xavier. Huge game, Q1 game for the Dawgs. Let's go get this victory. Go Dawgs.